Hey guys, it's Allie. You can call me Allie, and today we are discussing 5 LGBT books I think you should read. If that's what you're interested in, get comfortable and let's join this conversation. Meet Cute Diary follows a gay, transgender, Japanese, white Afro-Caribbean man who writes cute meet cutes on his blog in order to fulfill his want of having his own meet cute one day. But one day, critics of his blog pick apart his writing post by post and expose him for not having meet cutes at all. Every blog is written by an anonymous person and they all follow male on male romances and they all have a very, very, very happy ending. And well, the main character, Noah, one day walks into a coffee shop and meets this gorgeous, cute man, and he's like, this is a meet cute. And he thinks, what if we put this on the blog? I just love the story for its overall happy vibe and the entire plot. It's just such a cheerful story, but it does talk about dark themes like feeling betrayed by people, romances not working out. It explores that topic in a really safe environment, and it's just a really good book to vibe with. How to become a planet. Pluto suffers from depression, and since she's an only child, she doesn't really know how to face it all alone. Well, some days are good, some days are bad, and she does this with her mom who runs a pizzeria, which is a really good point in the book. I love the pizzeria idea. Well, Pluto's ready to get back into the swing of things, but she finds out that making new friends, keeping old friends, and getting back into your own circle isn't as easy as other people make it seem. And to make things worse, her dad wants her to live with him instead of with her mom, who she's been living with her entire life. The story is a really quick read. I read it in an entire day, I believe, and it's really realistic. And as someone who went through depression and the exact same thing as Pluto went through minus the divorced parents, the undertones of sexuality and queer representation in this book, it's just really realistic. Oftentimes children don't really label themselves. It's not like you have to be this, you have to be that. That's something that's taught, and I feel like that's shown throughout the book. It's like, oh well, I like her, I hope she likes me back. And it's not really like oh, it's scary to be gay. It's not really anything like that. An accepting environment. And Pluto goes through having a crush on another person in the area, and the book also deals with the topic of jealousy, which I feel like is very, very, very good, because it's okay to be jealous, it's okay to be upset about things, but it's also not okay to not address something like that. And therefore I think the book is really good. The Honeys. I've already covered this book on this channel, so we're gonna dial it back, and I'm not gonna do a deep dive into this book, but I do recommend it. Basically, The Honeys is about a genderqueer boy named Mars, as he follows his sister's footsteps and tries to find out how she and why she died. I love how the idea of bullying comes into play. I feel like there's two opposite sides of the spectrum. One where it's like, okay, queer people are accepted, and one where it's like, queer people are not accepted. And I feel like we see both of this within the story. We see queer people being accepted just because they're a regular, decent human being, and then queer people not being accepted because they're queer. And there's just the characters are really realistic in that sense. I also think that the plot and the entire climax resolution, I feel like that also drives the narrative really, really far, and I really like that. Don't Let the Forest In. Okay, so Don't Let the Forest In is something really weird and kooky. Like, I wasn't really sure what I was getting into when I first read it, but I can tell you that it was a really good book. Basically, the two main characters are Andrew and Thomas, and Andrew loves Thomas. This is something that comes up multiple times in the book. He says, I love Thomas. Okay, well, Thomas has been acting strange ever since he got back to this boarding school situation, and all he does is he doesn't draw anymore, but he has a sketchbook in his dorm and he shares it with Andrew. Well, one day all these sketchbook characters come to life, and Andrew finds out that Thomas every single night goes out, sneaks out his window, goes to the forest and fights these monsters before they come to the school. And so then basically they fight them together. It's really interesting because Thomas and Andrew are dealing with their own relationship, and then the relationships with others because of their own relationship, and because they have to fight these monsters. Like, relationships are really drawn tight and really strained, and it's just so interesting to see something like that. And if I'm not mistaken, the author has also wrote another book that I'm really interested in reading. I believe it's by the same author. It might be by the author no, I think it's by the author. Last but certainly not least, My Darling Dreadful Thing. So I had this book uber recommended to me a while ago, and I am not disappointed at all. This book is one of my favorite books I have ever read, strictly because of the content that's inside. Basically, the sorcerer named Ruji, I think her name is. Well, okay, I say sorcerer, but really she has a spirit that can come into her and like be her for the day. And the spirit can conjure up other spirits. So her and her mother or stepmother or something like that literally sit around and make people pay for her to conjure up spirits and pretend to be possessed by her, but really she's only possessed by her own spirit, if that makes sense. Well, one day a matriarch who goes to these because she wants to discuss her ex, or well, not her ex, her widow. She's a widow. Okay. So basically a widow comes to one of these events and she's like, I want to talk to my ex-husband. And it gets really freaky in that vibe. She's like, oh, they're kissing, they're making out. But the next day she comes back and she's like, actually, I would like to buy Ruji off of you because she can talk to my husband and I want her to talk to my husband. And Ruji's stepmom is just like, okay, yeah, that's fine. You're not worth anything anyways. So Ruji goes to live with this widow. In the widow's house, her husband's sister is really sick and lives there with them, and she's just an absolute bitch. She's really cunning and conniving, and I love that for her. Well, basically the entire story is about Ruji and the matriarch falling in love and them uncovering secrets and stuff like that. But one day, the matriarch's dead husband shows up outside the door and blocks them inside the house. And we fast forward to Ruji being on trial for the murder of the matriarch and the matriarch's sister. And while the story is being told by the main character in such a way that we see her on trial and we see her talking to a psychiatrist who is trying to deem if she is okay to be on trial and if she's considered insane. And the book is really just chef kiss, and I love the subtlety of it being subtle in the sense of the romance, but also being not subtle. Like, there's so many things I'm like, oh my god, I didn't catch that. I didn't realize that's what that meant. But at the same time, it's like, you know what, I should have caught that because like it's obvious. Okay, well, anyways, thank you so much for watching. If this is your type of vibe, subscribe or just come back later. I don't care.